This is the organic ISP video series number 4. Right? As you can see on the board, we're now into 3 colors. Right? We've got black, red, and green, because we're going to be dealing with multiple branches now. Right? So just keep adding a layer of complexity with each lesson. So what do we do when we have not just one branch, but 2, or even 3 or 4 or 5? Right? We'll start with 2. Right? So I've got this molecule on the board, right? It's definitely got 3 branches, or 3 chains to it, right? I've already colored them, black, red, and green, but just for the sake of the process, let's make sure that we've done this, I've actually colored them properly, right? This chain is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 carbons long, right? So I want to make sure that there aren't any other options that are longer than 6 carbons. So if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So no matter which path I take, right, 6 is the longest length that I'm going to get, right? Then for the branch locations, right, I want to see which way should I number the main chain on this, right? So if I number it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that puts my red branch on carbon 3, my green branch on carbon 5, right? Whereas if I renumber it in the other direction, I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, now my green branch is on 2 and my red branch is on 4. So since the previous numbering, right, the lowest branch is on 3, and in this numbering, the lowest branch is on 2, right, we're going to number it this way, right? So now I have my main chain. It's a hexane, right? That doesn't change, right? But now I've got 2 branches, right? We can see that this one is only 1 carbon long, and this one is also 1 carbon long, right? So according to our naming of branches, this is going to be a methyl branch, and this is also going to be a methyl branch. So based on our previous naming, right, we might want to call this 2-methyl 4-methyl hexane, right? Which seems reasonable, except that it makes it a little longer than necessary because we end up mentioning methyl twice. Since these 2 branches are the same length and they have the same name, methyl and methyl, right, it seems redundant to mention methyl twice, right? So in cases where you have more than one of the same branch, right, we're actually just going to add a prefix, right, to say how many of that type of branch there are, right? And the prefixes that we use, you'd be familiar with from just regular binary, molecular, or covalent nomenclature, right? Di is 2, tri is 3, tetra is 4, penta is 5, and so on, right? These are the exact same prefixes that you use in molecular nomenclature, right? So what we're going to call this is not methyl hexane, but dimethyl hexane, because there's 2 methyl groups. So we're going to put in dimethyl hexane, right? And of course, those 2 methyl groups may or may not occur on the 2 and 4 carbon, right? We could move those methyls to other positions, right? So we have to say, where are the 2 methyl groups, right? So we'll write in their locations. The green methyl group is on carbon 2, and the red methyl group is on carbon 4, right? So we're just going to write in 2, comma, 4, hyphen, dimethyl hexane, right? So our 2 methyl groups are on locations 2 and 4. Right? We separate numbers in our names by commas, and we separate numbers from letters in our names with hyphens. Right? So this is 2, 4 hyphen dimethyl hexane. So then there's other possibilities, right? What if I moved one of my methyl groups, right? So let's take the green methyl group and we'll take it off of carbon 2. Right. And what if I move it over to carbon 5? Right. Well, now what I've done is I've actually put it on the second carbon from the end. So now I have to reverse my numbering in order to name this. Right? Because I'm not going to name it 4, 5. I'm actually going to name it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to name it 2, 3 dimethyl. Excellent. Okay. So this is now going to be 2, 3. The red methyl group is on carbon 3. Right? So now it's 2, 3 dimethylhexane. Right? And, right, there's even another possibility. Right? I take my 2 methyl groups. Okay. Let's put 1 methyl group here. And you're going to see why I'm drawing it off on an angle like that in a second. Okay. And put the other methyl group there. That's allowed because carbon can have up to 4 bonds. And if we look at carbon 3 here, right, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 bonds. Nothing wrong with that. And so now our 2 methyl groups are actually on the same carbon. Right? So in that case, we do the same thing, right? Except 1, 2, 3. If I numbered from this direction, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. So 3 is lower than 4. We're going to stick with 3, right? We're not going to write 3 once. There are still 2 methyl groups. So we're actually just going to write in 3 comma 3 dimethyl hexane. So if the two groups occur on the same carbon, right, then you just write the same number twice. 3 dimethyl hexane. And now, of course, I could let's maybe add a 4th color, right? What if I now said put another methyl group on carbon 2, right? Now, oh, we're getting so crazy, right? Now, because I have 3 methyl groups, I can change my prefix to tri methyl hexane. This is 3 methyls. And now I'm going to need 3 numbers in front of it, right? So it's going to be 2, 3, 3, right? So really all I have to do in order to name this compound is just add 2, comma, 3, 3, trimethyl hexane, right? So the thing to notice is that when you have similar, or not similar, the same branches, and you have more than one of them, the number locations preceding, right, should match the prefix. If your prefix is tri, you should have 3 numbers. If your prefix is di, you should have 2 numbers. If it's tetra, you should have 4 numbers. Right? So you should always make sure that you're giving the location of every single group. Right? Okay. Now there's just a couple other things to talk about with multiple functional groups. Right. What if you have more than one type of functional group? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's do this. 7 carbons this time. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh no, it's 8. 8 carbons this time. Okay. And I'm going to put in, let's say, an ethyl group there. Okay. And how about a methyl group there. Okay, so I've got 1, 2 carbons in that branch, and I've got 1 carbon on that branch. So I can go ahead and say, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? I've exhausted, I think, all of the paths, and I haven't exceeded 8 carbons. So 8 is my longest chain. Right? I can see that if I numbered this the other way, I'd get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My first branch would be on number 5. Right, whereas if I number it this way, 1, 2, 3, my first branch is on 3. So I'm numbered in the right direction, right? 3 is lower than 5. Right? So I can go ahead and start naming this. Right? The main chain is octane. Right? And then we have to put our branches in. Right? So what are our branches called? Well, this is only 1 carbon long, so it's methyl. This one's 2 carbons long, so it's ethyl. Right? And here's where the rules come in. Right? Shall I call this methyl ethyl octane, or shall I call it ethyl methyl octane? Right? Which should come first, the methyl or the ethyl? Right? At first, it might make sense to say, oh well, since the ethyl's on the 3rd carbon and the methyl's on the 4th carbon, right? Just do it numerically, right? That works provided that your 2 groups aren't on the same carbon. What if I put my ethyl group on the same carbon as the methyl group? Well, if they're now, say, both on the 4th carbon, right? Now which one comes first? Methyl or ethyl, right? So rather than using the position number to decide which one comes first, we use alphabetization, right? So we're going to use the alphabetical name of the branch in order to determine which one comes first. So E comes before M, so ethyl will be named first, and then methyl. Right? So we're going to put in our So methyl comes second, it's on the 4th carbon, so it'll be a 4-methyl separated by hyphen, right? And ethyl is going to come first, because alphabetically E before M, and it's on the 3rd carbon, so it's going to be 3-ethyl. So what we have here is 3-ethyl 4-methyl octane, E before M. Right? And here's the other interesting thing. What would I do if I, say, now added a 3rd branch, right? And I'm going to make it out here. 1 carbon on the 2nd position of the main chain, right? What would I do now? Well, of course, now that I have 2 methyl groups, methyl and methyl, right? I'm not going to list methyl twice, right? We're going to call it dimethyl. Right? So I can take this part out, okay? And I can put in a di, right? And it's going to be 2,4, right? So I think maybe I'm going to make a little more room here. It's going to be 2, 4. Green is 2, comma, blue is 4, hyphen, right? And ethyl is red, so 3 ethyl, hyphen, 2, comma, 4, hyphen, dimethyl octane. Right? Now you might look at this and say, well, hold on a second. I thought we were supposed to do this alphabetically, right? And now that this is a dimethyl, right? Doesn't D come before E, right? And yes, D does come before E alphabetically, but we only actually look at the name of the branches, right? So we're still dealing with methyl versus ethyl, right? And E comes before M, right? So we still place ethyl alphabetically before methyl, right? The branch isn't actually called dimethyl. Like, this isn't called a dimethyl branch. They're individually methyl and methyl branch, right? So we're actually gonna put the name alphabetically according to the names of the branches only, right? The prefixes are only there to tell you how many of the branch there are, right? It's the actual branch name that decides the alphabetical order, right? So we're ignoring the di. The di just says that there are 2 methyl branches. So we're still comparing the M in methyl to the E in ethyl. So it'll be 3-ethyl-2,4-dimethyl octane. Okay. And that's how you do multiple branches, right? We still look for, number one, longest possible chain. So we find our longest chain, right? That becomes our main chain. In this case, 8 carbons long octane, right? Then we determine which way are we going to number it, right to left, left to right, right? So that we get the lowest number for our first branch. In this case, 2, right? Versus if we number it the other way, it would be 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? 2 is lower than 5, so we number it this way. Right? Then we put in the position numbers and the branch names alphabetically. So ethyl before methyl. Still gets more complicated. Wait for video 5.